Hello everyone, welcome back to Nail Art by Nessa. I am Vanessa and it's time to redo my nails. These were my Easter nails and the first thing I have to do is remove the polish. Now I'm going to go ahead and actually change the shape of my nails. So I decided to go with an almond shape, and now I'm just going to remove the bulk of the squared off corners with my e-file, and then I do switch to a hand file just to perfect the shape. Once I'm happy with the shape, I am ready to start prepping for my fill. So the first thing I'm going to do is just clean up my cuticles. So I'm using my cuticle pusher just to push back my cuticles. And next I'm going to use my drill bit just to remove all the dead skin and to lift up the cuticle to make it easier for trimming. I know in some states you're not allowed to trim the cuticles, but here in Canada there are no rules like that, and I am working on myself, so I'm just going to go ahead and use my little cuticle nippers to trim away the dead skin around my nail. After removing my cuticle, I will brush off any dust on my nail with my brush and then wipe it off with a little bit of alcohol on a cotton pad. And then I go in with my dehydrator and I focus on the natural nail, and then with my primer. And with my primer, I'm careful not to apply too much and not too close to the cuticle. And now I'm going in with my base coat and I will apply that all over the nail and set that in my light. Now my nail is all prepped and ready for my builder gel, so I'm using this builder gel by Francesca. It is a self-leveling gel, so I find what works really well is to take a little bit on your brush and just apply a nice even layer all over your nail, and then without setting it, take a bigger blob and build your apex. So I apply the majority of the product to my apex, and then I sort of guide the product out to where I want it to go. But because I already applied that thin layer, it will flow out to where the gel is already applied. So I don't have a lot of work to do, which is kind of nice. And then I just flip my nail over up and let gravity help build the apex. I look at it from all angles, and once I'm happy with it, I just go ahead and set it in the light. Once it comes out of the light, I just wipe off that inhibition layer and I go in with my hand file and just perfect the shape. If for some reason I really globbed it up somewhere and I have a big bump or something, I will take my e-file, but I find I usually don't have to. This method works really well and I don't have a lot of filing to do, which is great. So I did the rest of my nails off camera and now I'm ready to apply my color. I really wanted to do a nice dark navy blue for these nails, but this color was the only dark blue I had, so I applied 3 layers of this color and set each layer in my light. I applied this color to my thumb, index finger, and pinky fingers. So while I paint my nails, I just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge everyone who commented on my videos in the last 2 weeks. I'm really sorry. I somehow turned off all notifications on my channel and I am not computer savvy. I don't know how I did it. And to top it off, it's just been a really busy last couple weeks for me, so I just kind of assumed nobody was commenting, like they had nothing to say. So that was my bad. I'm really sorry. So I believe I have responded to everyone's comments. But yeah, if you comment from now on, I should get back to you a lot faster than I did this time. I'm really sorry. Thank you so much for your comments and supporting me, and please continue to comment on my videos. I do really appreciate hearing what you have to say. For my middle finger and ring finger, I applied a white polish. This one is by Born Pretty and it is called Day. I applied 2 layers to each nail, setting each layer in my light. Next step for these nails, I need my neon pigment powders, so I'm just going to select which colors I want to use, and then I put the rest back in the box. But I did decide to go with a rainbow of colors, so I chose green, blue, purple, pink, yellow, and orange. Now, using an applicator, I'm just going to apply a little bits of the color to the white polish. Now, the white polish still has that sticky inhibition layer on it, so I can just easily apply the pigment powders and it sticks right on, no problem. After finishing applying all the colors, I definitely recommend putting a base coat over top before you start stamping. I applied all these colors and then started stamping, but I kind of messed it up. So once I messed up the stamping, I had to go back and wipe it off, but of course it wiped off all of the pigment powder, which is not ideal. And then because you've wiped it off, you no longer have that sticky layer, so the pigment powder will not stick anymore. So definitely, if you think that you might need to go back and redo something, I recommend applying a base coat over top before you start stamping. Otherwise, you might end up having to redo it like I did. When applying your base coat to your nail, or if you were just going in with a top coat because you've decided this is good, just be really careful that you're just guiding the polish over the nail and not actually having your bristles touch down on the nail. Otherwise, it will pull the color and you will see streaks on your nail, and it will start to blend the colors together and make them muddy. So just be really careful when applying any kind of coat on top of the pigments. Once the nail is set, I go ahead and wipe off the inhibition layer and I'm ready to start stamping. So the first stamping plate I'm going to use is UPRETTEGO JR144, and I just peel off this blue film because I've never used it before, and now I'm ready to get started. So I use my navy blue stamping polish. This one is by Two Joy, and I select a few different images and randomly place them on the nail. So far, I really like the way my nails are coming together, but I have more than one plate that has tags, so why not pull out all of them? So this one is UPRETTEGO JR126, and I'm just going to use one image off of this plate, and it is a tag that says Superstar, and I will apply that to the tip of my nail. So once I was really happy with the placement of my stamping, I went ahead and top coated it. And I did go with a matte top coat this time. I felt like matte just went really good with the street art vibe that I was going for. And I am using the VENALISA matte top coat. So I did just get this one in my last haul video, and so far I do like it a lot better than the Born Pretty. The Born Pretty matte top coat I don't recommend, just because I found it stained really easy and it was really soft, so it was easy to like peel it up. So far I've already actually been wearing these nails for a week and a half and I haven't had any problems. But when you are applying your top coat, doesn't matter whether it's the matte or shiny, you are going to want to be really careful when applying it. Just very carefully guide it over top of your nail. Do not drag your brush through the stamping, otherwise you will streak it and mess up your stamping. So just be really careful, and I do recommend applying 2 coats to make sure that all of your stamping is properly sealed in. Next, I'm just going to clean up my tools because I'm going to be switching over to a white stamping polish, and I do not want the white mixing with the blue. And then I go ahead and prep this stamper head, and I'm going to just do that by rubbing on all of my pigment powders in a random order. Now you might notice I'm using a different stamper, and that is just a personal choice, because when you are rubbing on your pigment powders and you do this on a regular basis, it causes micro tears in the surface of your stamper head and it will make it go cloudy. So I have personally selected a specific stamper for doing this kind of art. So once I'm happy with that, I am going to just stamp as usual. So I'm going to paint the polish onto my image. I'm going to scrape off the excess, and then I'm going to pick up the image, making sure that it is where I placed all of those colors. Now I'm going to stamp it onto my nail, and my nail has been prepped by wiping off that inhibition layer. So once you've done that, you can kind of brush off any excess. I actually found that it was easier to just use my finger to wipe off the excess. As long as you didn't apply too much pressure with your finger, the pigments all stayed where they were supposed to. And then next I decided to add a couple small images. So I pulled out another plate, and the plate I'm using is UPRETTEGO JR 128. And I'm just going to use a couple little stars to place around the image. So I guess I didn't wipe off the inhibition layer quite as well as I thought in this one corner. So I'm just using a little bit of alcohol on a brush just to wipe off that extra pigment that was stuck there. And now I'm just going to go ahead and top coat it in the same way I top coat the other nails. So just being really careful not to press down or drag my brush at all through the image. Otherwise, those pigments will sort of rub off and come onto the brush and just kind of go streaky and not look very nice. So just be really careful. And then I apply a second coat just to make sure everything is sealed in and I don't have any gaps anywhere. Next, I still had to finish off my pinky and index fingers, and I really wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I thought I was just going to put a matte top coat on it and just leave them plain, but then I decided to go ahead and add these triangles. So I did that just by applying the top coat and setting it in the top coat. I applied a second coat of top coat using my detail brush just to really get in and around the triangle, making sure I got it in the center, and then just use my brush to finish that second coat. So I thought that was it. I thought I was done, and I just didn't really like the triangle, so I ended up popping it off. And when I was sitting on the couch, I noticed that it had a perfect sort of 3D effect with like a groove where the triangle was sitting. So I thought maybe I could just fill in the triangle. So I went ahead and just kind of buffed up the nail just so I could apply yet another coat of polish on top of these nails. So these nails already have 3 coats of color and 2 top coats, so they are starting to get a little thick, but you know, you kind of got to go with your artistic feelings and just kind of go with whatever's going on. So I take my white gel polish and I actually fill in the little groove where the triangle was sitting. So this way I have a triangle on the nail that's perfectly flush with the polish. For the few spots that I went over the line, I just used a little bit of alcohol on my brush and just cleaned it up. But it was pretty easy to keep the polish where you wanted it because there is a groove there, so it kind of flows into the groove, which was nice. Once I cleaned it up, I just added a little bit of extra white polish to the corners of my triangles, and I found that the polish just kind of flowed into the little grooves and made it really perfectly flush with the rest of the nail. I set that in the light, and then I took the excess powder I had on my stamper head and just stamped it down onto the triangles. And because the triangle still has the inhibition layer on it, it stuck perfectly. Once I was finished cleaning up the little excess powder that was around the triangles, I went ahead and top coated it, and I had perfectly matching triangles to the rest of my nails. This was an added bonus. I wasn't planning on doing this, but it turned out great and I'm really happy with it. I finished up my right hand off camera, and here is the finished look. I think they turned out really well. My left hand always turns out better than my right hand, but I'm really happy with the finished look. So let me know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that bell notification, and I'll see you all next time. Thank you for watching. Bye!